My name is Emily, I'm 30 years old. I'm in my 5th year of marriage to my husband Hugo, who is 2 years older than me. We both work and don't have kids yet, but we've been living happily together. However, recently, something about Hugo's behavior has been off. We're both getting busier at work and I guess we're running out of patience, but his words have been increasingly sharp. Hey, have you been slacking off on the housework lately?
No, I don't think so.
Really? It looks to me like you're cutting corners and slouching around.
That's not true. It's a busy time, and it's only natural that some things are left undone.
You didn't make excuses like that when we were newlyweds. You used to take care of things much better. I never thought you were the kind of woman to use work as an excuse. And your job's not even that serious, right? There's only so much you can do. I had my own complaints. Hugo has been working late and on weekends lately, hardly ever at home. He leaves earlier in the morning than I do and comes back late at night. Naturally, the time we spend talking or eating together has decreased. I know he's busy, but isn't this overworking? Maybe that's why he's always on edge and takes out his frustrations on me over small things. Now, whenever we see each other, we end up fighting over trivial matters. I was genuinely worried about him. Hey, aren't you overworking yourself? Maybe you should take a break.
What? What are you talking about? I don't need to be lectured about my job by you. Just leave me alone.
Hugo yelled and quickly retreated to his room. His way of abruptly ending the conversation, as if he didn't want to talk about his work, struck me. And the sweet scent of perfume I smelled from Hugo's suit as he walked away was on my mind. It was a fragrance not suited to his taste, as if asserting the presence of another woman close to him. To doubt my husband like this. But it might just be my imagination. Once work calms down, we should be able to talk it out. I clung to that faint hope. But the discord between us kept growing deeper day by day. Then, one day, as I was crossing the street after work, I was hit by a car that ran a red light and was sent flying. My memory is fuzzy, but apparently, a passerby called an ambulance, and I was quickly taken to the hospital. Thanks to the swift treatment, my life wasn't in danger, but I ended up with bruises and a fracture that would take 2 months to heal. Since I'll be hospitalized for a while, I needed to ask Hugo to prepare my things. We hadn't been talking properly lately. He'd been ignoring me whenever I tried to speak to him. I was dreading it, but in this situation, Hugo was the one I had to rely on. I decided to call him. But he didn't answer the phone right away. Eventually, it went to voicemail. I kept calling persistently, and finally, Hugo answered.
What do you want? You keep calling. It's annoying. Can't you see I'm busy working?
Hugo's voice was full of anger as he answered. But I couldn't back down. This was an emergency. Listen, I was in an accident. I got hit by a car. I'm going to be hospitalized for a while, so I need you to bring me some things. Please. His response was unbelievable.
What? Hospitalized because of an accident? That's your own fault, right? Deal with it yourself. Don't rely on me. I'm busy, so don't contact me for a while. What?
Hey, Hugo, are you still on the phone? Oh, sorry. I'm done now. Seriously, what a stupid woman. Before I could say anything in return, Hugo hung up. I was left in shock. Why? Isn't he worried that his wife was in an accident? He didn't even offer to help or ask how I was. He just yelled at me and hung up. And the sweet female voice I heard just before he hung up. My suspicions turned into certainty, and my heart sank. At the same time, a flame of anger ignited within me. Fine, if that's how it is, I have my own plans. I'll make sure he regrets underestimating me. And to do that, I need to heal properly first. I resolved myself, but before I could take my revenge, fate reached Hugo faster.
Emily, I heard your husband, Hugo, died in an accident. What? What are you suddenly talking about?
One day, out of the blue, my best friend Mina shocked me with this news over the phone. I rushed to Hugo's place. Not because I was worried, but because if he was dead, I couldn't punish him myself. Even if it was divine retribution, I wanted to be the one to deliver the final blow. As I made my way to Hugo, I reflected on the journey that brought me to this day. First, I thought back to the day Hugo refused to prepare for my hospital stay. I called the next most reliable person, my mother. Hello, Mom? You see, I've been in an accident.
What? An accident? Are you okay? How bad are your injuries?
When I told her about the accident, she sounded frantic and worried over the phone. It was a stark contrast to Hugo's cold reaction. I asked her to take care of my hospital preparations and felt relieved as I waited for her in my hospital bed. I was glad I'd given her a spare key to our house. It's useful to have someone to rely on in times like this. If only Hugo had listened to my request, this wouldn't have been necessary. I'm getting irritated again. As I tried to suppress my anger on the bed, time flew by. Soon, the door to my hospital room opened.
Emily! Are you okay? You scared me!
Hey, Mom. She arrived just in time for visiting hours, out of breath and holding my things.
I brought everything you said you needed on the phone. I'll leave it here.
Thank you, Mom. You're my lifesaver.
It's okay. I live nearby, so it's no trouble.
Saying that, she looked at me lying on the bed with a pained expression.
Emily, is what you said on the phone true? That you asked Hugo for help, but he refused?
Yeah.
Hugo still hasn't come back, right? Is he busy with work?
Probably. But I think it's more than that.
What do you mean?
I think Hugo is cheating on me. When I confessed this, my mother widened her eyes and frowned.
I thought so. Did you know? What? Mom, do you know something?
She seemed hesitant, unsure if she should speak. Honestly, I was scared. Even though I was sure of his betrayal, facing it again was daunting. But I couldn't look away. A flame of anger was burning inside me. I was ready to confront Hugo and our relationship. In other words, I was prepared to fight. I needed all the information I could get to have the upper hand.
Mom, I'm ready. If you know something, please tell me.
With that, she seemed to make up her mind and began to speak. I'm sorry. I thought I might be mistaken. But I didn't want to hurt you if it was true. I saw him the other day at the train station, walking arm in arm, looking cozy with a woman. I understood what my mother struggled to say.
Oh. I see. So that's how it is. Thank you, Mom, for telling me. Emily. I'm on your side. I'll always help you. If you're ever in trouble, just call me. Thanks, Mom.
Her firm words were a great comfort. Knowing I had an unwavering ally was truly reassuring. And so, my first day in the hospital passed. The next day, I received explanations from the doctors about my injuries and hospital life, and I even spoke with the police about the accident. Ideally, Hugo would have been there with me to hear all this. But given our current situation, that was too much to hope for. I had to handle everything about my hospital stay on my own. Until I could start rehab, I spent my days alone in bed, watching TV and reading. My boss and coworkers came to visit, and when I apologized for the work I left behind, they told me to forget about work for now and focus on healing, especially since I'd been particularly busy recently. I just smiled wryly. A few days later, the person I'd been secretly hoping to see came to visit.
Emily! I came to see you. Who would have thought our reunion after so long would be in a hospital? Mina, keep it down. It's a hospital, after all.
Okay. You're still as dependable as ever, Emily. But you need to relax a bit more, or your injury won't heal properly, you know? The one who knocked on my hospital room door with a sweet voice was my best friend Mina. We've been friends since elementary school, living in the same neighborhood and often playing together. Our friendship continued through middle and high school, and even after a brief separation in college, we reconnected as adults. Actually, it was Mina who introduced me to Hugo. It's funny to say, but I'm the serious type, and Mina's more laid back and charming. Our personalities are complete opposites, but somehow we click and have always stuck together. But that's exactly why I understand. When I called Hugo, the sweet, cajoling voice on the other end of the line belonged to her. Here, this is for you.
I wasn't sure what to get, so I asked the store clerk.
Mina said cheerily, placing her gift on the side table. I kept my face composed and asked.
Mina, did you take time off work to visit me?
Oh, yeah.
It's a big deal when your best friend's in trouble. I wanted to come right away, but my senior at work was nagging me about a deadline.
Mina laughed it off. We continued with trivial conversations. I could smell a sweet perfume from Mina. Yes, the same scent I had noticed on Hugo's suit earlier. Let's be clear, I suspected my best friend and my husband were having an affair. No, I was certain of it. Hugo was cheating on me with Mina. They were keeping it a secret, but I knew that Hugo and Mina had dated in college. I found out when I stumbled upon a photo of them together while cleaning Hugo's room early in our marriage. The photo showed them looking very cozy, and there were several like it. I remembered when Mina introduced me to Hugo. When I told him about my best friend Emily, he seemed interested. Why don't you meet him, just to see? That's how she introduced us. Mina and Hugo were already acquainted from college and kept in touch as friends. I chose to ignore the photos I found. Sure, they might have dated in the past. But now, Hugo is married to me. Though it bothered me that he kept so many photos, I rationalized they might just be old memories or something he forgot to discard. I thought he didn't tell me about their past relationship to spare my feelings. So, I convinced myself and left his room. But thinking back, the photos weren't hidden, they were in plain sight. If he was considerate, he would have hidden them better. Why didn't I confront him then? I regret not addressing this issue sooner. Letting it drag on until I was certain. The woman my mom saw with Hugo was Mina. My mom knew Mina since she was a child. Though they hadn't met as adults, she'd recognize Mina's grown-up face. That's why my mom hesitated to tell her daughter about her best friend's betrayal. I stared at my best friend in front of me. Hey, Mina. Do you know what I'm thinking? How I'm planning to make you and Hugo pay, how to make you regret. That's all that's on my mind. But Mina, oblivious to my thoughts, kept chatting cheerfully.
By the way, I'm going on a trip soon. I'll bring you a souvenir when I come to visit next.
With that, Mina left. Knowing my best friend's betrayal, my anger only grew. And then, though I knew it was a bad idea, I called Hugo. Maybe I wanted to unleash my anger on him. It was rash, with no plan in place. But I couldn't stop myself. I never knew I could be so driven by emotion. Surprisingly, Hugo answered immediately.
What do you want? Didn't I tell you not to contact me? Whatever, I actually wanted to tell you something. I'm going on a trip starting tomorrow, and the house will be empty. Well, I guess you're not coming back home yet, but just so you know. So don't contact me anymore, okay? I don't want my vacation ruined. I thought you were busy with work.
Huh? Oh.
I just wrapped up a project, obviously. You should know that without me having to tell you.
So, anyway.
You're going with Mina, right? On a cheating getaway? What?
When I calmly replied, Hugo paused and then let out a dumbfounded sound. I pressed on. Mina, my friend Mina.
You're cheating on me with her, aren't you? Mina's your affair partner, right?
Hiding it is useless. I know everything. At my words, Hugo gasped and then let out a loud, resigned laugh.
If I'm caught, then so be it. Yes, I'm cheating on you with Mina. She's much better than you, a stiff and charmless woman. Mina knows how to pamper a man. Marrying you was a mistake. I should never have broken up with Mina over some stupid fight.
So, you two were together after all.
Yeah. You didn't even realize it, huh? Your husband and your best friend were having an affair right under your nose, and you were too busy reading my face to notice anything.
Seriously, you're a joke. How clueless can you be? Hugo laughed mockingly. What an irritating laugh. I just listened, without saying anything back, to Hugo's scornful laughter.
Well, don't worry. Once I'm back from the trip, I'll properly divorce you. I want to be with Mina now. Prepare the divorce papers and wait, okay? Oh, but you can't do that while you're in the hospital.
With a vulgar laugh, Hugo unilaterally ended the call. I checked my phone. Our conversation had been recorded. Surely, this would be useful material for turning the situation in my favor. I sighed in relief. This would surely let Mina know that I was aware of everything. The real challenge would begin when they returned from their trip. But destiny arrived sooner than I expected. A few days after Hugo and Mina left for their trip, I got a call from Mina. Had she already returned from the trip? And to call me. With suspicion, I answered the phone, only to be shocked by what I heard.
Hey, Emily! Hugo was.
What? What's wrong, Mina? Calm down.
He's dead. Died in an accident. His body was all mangled.
What? What are you suddenly saying? Isn't Hugo with you on a trip?
That's true, but.
Mina's incoherent words left me confused. Through Mina's sobbing, I managed to piece together the story. They were supposed to return home from their trip today. They got into an accident on their way back. Someone nearby had called an ambulance, and they were rushed to the hospital.
Hugo was hit by a car. He was thrown, and there was so much blood, and his arms and legs were all twisted, and he's not responding to me. What should I do, Emily?
I listened to Mina's words calmly. I was surprisingly composed. Probably because I no longer had feelings for my husband or best friend. I even thought it might be divine retribution. It turned out that Hugo was taken to the same hospital where I was admitted. Using my crutches, I hurried to where Hugo was. I couldn't let him die just like that. I had to confront him myself. I explained the situation to a nearby nurse, who hastily contacted someone and accompanied me to the surgery room. Hugo was still alive. He was seriously injured and still in surgery, but he was alive. Mina, who had come with the ambulance, was sitting slumped in the corridor outside the surgery room. She seemed to have lost all her strength. As soon as she saw me, she started crying loudly.
I'm so glad. I was so scared.
Mina cried like a child, and I looked down at her with cold eyes. In the past, I would have comforted her when she cried. But now, I had no desire to get involved with Mina any further. I silently left and returned to my room. Soon, the nurses, notorious for their love of gossip, spread the word that my husband was brought to the hospital after an accident with his mistress on their way back from a trip. According to the nurses, Hugo was sure to have lasting injuries from the accident. I decided to wait until Hugo was well enough to have a conversation. I also informed his parents about his accident. When they learned about his affair, they dismissed it as his own doing. With my mother's help, I began preparing for the divorce. Then, the day finally came. The meeting was arranged through my mother. The location, Hugo's hospital room. As my mother, my in-laws, and I were about to enter, we heard a man and a woman arguing inside.
That's what I'm saying. If you hadn't suggested going on that trip, none of this would have happened. It's all your fault. You're a jinx. Take responsibility for it.
What are you talking about? Don't blame me.
It was Hugo's fault for not looking ahead. It's his own fault for not paying attention. I have nothing to do with it. I even paid for most of the trip. If you're going to say that, give me back all the money I spent. What? You were the one who offered to pay. I didn't ask for it. You should pay for all the hospital bills and future expenses.
I was utterly dismayed. Even in this situation, they were still blaming each other. I deliberately opened the hospital room door with a loud noise. Hugo, firmly fixed to the bed, and Mina at his side, looked at us in surprise.
Emily! Wait, it's not what you think. It's all Mina's fault. I'll make her take responsibility. Don't blame me. And Emily is my best friend, she's on my side.
Ignoring their argument, I tossed the divorce papers onto the bed. Can you sign this quickly?
Huh? Emily?
Oh, you can't be in that state, can you? Don't worry, if you agree to the divorce, someone can sign on your behalf.
Wait. I don't want a divorce.
Didn't you say to prepare the divorce papers and wait?
I did just that. That was. I regret cheating, okay? But now, in this situation, I realize I need you. I love you the most. So.
Really? After all you've said? I played back the recorded conversation from the phone call. Hugo's abusive words filled the room. He was shocked, not expecting to be recorded. As I turned up the volume, curious nurses peeked in from the open door.
Stop it!
As Hugo shouted, the playback ended, and I took a deep breath.
After hearing all that, do you think I still want to be your wife? You're the one who brought up divorce first. Saying you need me or love me now is too late. You just want someone to take care of you in the future, right? I don't want anything to do with that. My love for you ran out long ago. The only thing I can give you now is this divorce paper. That's it.
At my sharp words, Hugo groaned in frustration. Then my in-laws stepped forward, scolding him.
You idiot son! What do you think Emily is, huh? She's not someone you can just use at your convenience. You cheat and then have the nerve to act like this? The only thing you can do now is agree to the divorce. I'll sign for you if I have to. How could you cheat? Disgusting. I must have raised you wrong. Don't bother Emily any more than you have. Have some decency. Dad, Mom, aren't you on my side? There's no one on your side here.
And you.
It turns out you were lying about being busy, right? When I informed your company about your hospitalization, your boss said you haven't been focused at work recently and have been taking a lot of time off. It was all for your affair, wasn't it? I explained everything to your boss. What? What did you do? Well, if that's wrong, you can correct it yourself.
Upon hearing this, Hugo bit his lip. It seemed my guess was right. The busy with work excuse was a lie. Hugo was busy with his affair. I was truly appalled. I turned my gaze to Mina. She flinched under my look, trembling. At that moment, Mina's parents, who I had invited, entered the room.
Mina, you've really done something terrible. Dad, Mom.
Thank you for coming. It's okay, Emily. Thank you for letting us know. We'll take care of Mina. Emily, you should get the divorce papers signed quickly.
Wait. Why are you all? Listen to my side too.
Mina's parents were of course acquaintances since our childhood. I was the one who had summoned them here. Mina was dragged to a corner of the hospital room and was given a stern lecture. I then turned my gaze back to Hugo. If you absolutely refuse to agree to the divorce, I'm prepared to take this to court. So, what's it going to be?
A court case? Stop beating around the bush and decide quickly.
I demanded sharply. Hugo slumped, defeated, and let out a weak voice of agreement. The divorce papers were filled out by my father-in-law, who wrote Hugo's name in a surprisingly elegant hand. Oh, and just so you know, I'll be demanding alimony, of course. My final words echoed, met with screams of disbelief from both Hugo and Mina. The divorce between Hugo and me was finalized smoothly, and we became strangers to each other. Hugo ended up paralyzed from the waist down due to the accident and had to resign from his job. Disowned by his parents for the affair, he faced an uncertain future after being discharged from the hospital. Moreover, rumors of his affair and accident spread in the hospital, and he was subjected to curious gazes from the gossip-loving nurses and cold stares from those who knew about the commotion in his room. Mina, once my best friend, was also disowned by her parents. Apparently, she had embezzled company funds for the affair with Hugo and lost her job. The alimony owed to me was paid in one lump sum by Hugo's and Mina's parents, meaning they both ended up in debt to their parents. After I was discharged from the hospital, I received numerous calls from both of them begging for help, but I ignored them all and set my phone to block their numbers. They had nothing to do with me anymore. It was all their own doing. Once I fully recovered, I moved out of the house I had lived in with Hugo and into a new place. It was a high-rise condo, something I had always dreamed of. Now, there was no need to worry about Hugo's moods. I was ready to live my life to the fullest, for myself.